A quick story time, moving to DC in your 30s. If you're new here, you may not know about I moved to DC last year, March. So it's coming up to my 11th month update. And I wanted to give you a quick rundown because I get a lot of questions about moving to DC, in particular as a 32-year-old English born foreigner. Question that I normally get is why I moved to DC. You may know that I am a lawyer and I work at a global law firm. I wanted to move to DC for work ultimately, and my firm were able to help me do that. And I moved from London to DC, and I've worked in the same organization for the last 9 years. Next main question that I normally get is why I moved to DC. Again, like I said, a lot of it was work related, but also I wanted to be able to try a new city. I'd lived in Singapore for 6 months and wanted to be able to live somewhere else and just have a different change and different change of scenery ultimately. I born and raised in London and I was getting a little bit bored with the same old in London. Cost of living is also quite high in London. Another question I get is whether or not it's cheaper to live in London or DC. Personally, I think it's a hell of a lot cheaper to live in DC than it is in London. For example, my rent when I was in London was about £3,395 for a similar type of one bedroom, one bathroom setup that I currently have here. My rent here is $3,060. So face value is already cheaper. And I could have this completely incorrect, but I don't really pay utilities here. I only pay my water bill. And my water bill is like $16 to $17, and I pay renter's insurance as well, which I think is about $17. So in total, I'm paying less than $3,100 to live in my apartment, versus when I was in London, it would cost me about $4,000 once I included all of the utilities. Going out to eat is a hell of a lot cheaper. I went out to a really nice restaurant on Friday. I had 2 starters, a dessert, a coffee, and 2 drinks, and that came to $155, whereas I know that if I went to a similar spot in London for the amount I paid for, it would be significantly higher than what it is that I paid for. Additionally, Ubers are super cheap here. I could go from here to where I went for dinner, which is a 15-minute drive, and that would have cost me 60, maybe £70 in London. But here it cost me I think $20 maybe. Now, people keep on saying that groceries are a lot more expensive here, and I think it is ultimately a little bit more expensive, but I think that the cost of living in London is increasing, so the grocery prices are basically the same across the board now. I will say that the Uber Eats cost and the tipping culture here is a little bit wild, and that's one thing that I miss about being home in London, but it's not as crazy to order food online, or the tipping culture isn't as ingrained, but otherwise, on balance, it's probably better here. And as you will imagine, accent privilege is really a thing here. They really do like the English accents. And whether that be in work or just day to day, that is a big thing while you're here.